Philadelphia Eagles, a lot to choose from. Obviously, a lot of damn good players on this roster. That's how you dominate Super Bowl the way they did. But who's the most important, Kyle?
So obviously there's a lot of talk about Nakobe Dean, but until I see him on the field, I'm not going to consider him a player. But we all know the importance of having the middle of that field and Zach Bond's, compadre out there with him. And Nakobe Dean was really coming into his own in the league before he got hurt. But the most important position is the gaping hole that Mekhi Becton left when he stepped out of the right guard spot. And obviously you and I are going to be in lockstep here on the position that's the most important for them to continue their dominance, for Saquon to have nearly 500 touches, for the tush push to work. Honestly, you need to have the right guard spot. There's 3 players I've got my eye on. Obviously, Steen, Williams, and Green. It's going to be a battle. And I think the people in Philadelphia, the coaching staff, the players, they're open to any of these guys stepping in there and kicking somebody's ass. They don't care. And the right guard spots could be a lot of fun to watch for the Eagles.
Yeah, I'm in lockstep with you. I wrote Kenyon Green here because a few reasons. One, he's still young. The guy is 24 years old. He'll be 24 years old all season. He is, in fact, younger than the 54th overall pick, Anthony Belton, Green Bay Packers offensive lineman. He's younger than a guy who just got drafted. The Texans gave up on him. And the Packers drafted an older player in the second round this year to play offensive line. So there is still developmental potential there for this guy. He was obviously, if you watched him his true freshman year as starter at Texas A&M, you could see that this guy is very physically gifted. Now, obviously, the development part went left on the Houston Texans, and he just never turned into the guy they hoped when they drafted him in the first round. But it's not as if a lot of guys were developing on that Texans offensive line a year ago. Let's just keep it 100. So for the Philadelphia Eagles, he is your most exciting player in terms of what he could be versus what he might not necessarily be. And also, if you just watched Tyler Steen a year ago, when Mekhi Becton went down, when they had some injuries up front, Steen was bad. Almost torpedoed that Super Bowl. I think like the second or third snap he was out there, not torpedoed. They obviously were going to win that anyway, but like second or third snap he was out there, he just got his ass whooped by Chris Jones, or maybe it was Turk Wharton. I can't remember exactly off the top of my head.
It happens. Those guys whip a lot of people's asses, though.
But that was a common theme for him, unfortunately, throughout the season. When he had to come in, he was not impressive. Third rounder from 2023. That's the position that you just don't know on the Eagles roster right now what it's going to look like. And if it's a liability there, in pass protection, it only takes one, right? It only takes one guy that you have to scheme around to all of a sudden things look a lot different. Your tackles can be lights out, but if one guy's just getting his ass whipped play after play, defenses will know that and will take advantage of it. So that's the position where I'm like, if they figure it out, Kenyon Green turns into the player he was once promised, well, shit, they're hoisting another Lombardi. I don't see anyone being able to beat them if he turns into a dominant guard.
Or one of these rookies that Stoutland brought in, they drafted 2 offensive linemen, could come in and swoop this thing up. I mean, the scheme is, the scheme's pretty simple. The coaching is incredible. The guys you play next to are amazing. It breeds an environment where a young guy can step in, be handed the keys to a Ferrari in a professional driver, closed course type shit, and they just let him go. And that's what happened to me as a rookie. And, I know I was a first rounder, and none of these O-Linemen are rookies for them are first rounders, but they essentially become first rounders when they're playing with who they're playing with, and they get the nod from the scouting department in Philadelphia. Come on, I would have the utmost confidence to step in and be like, it's anybody's. Just go swing the bat. Just go put the bat on the ball, man.
All right, let's get to the Commanders, where they obviously had a lot of turnover this offseason, a lot of new faces. To me, the most important player, though, is the one they added mid-season. I think Marshon Lattimore. They need to get the bang for the buck. They traded for this guy, still young, still only 29 years old. No reason to think he should be on the downside of his career or should really have lost it. But when he was in a Commanders uniform last year, he was legitimately bad. He had 5 penalties in 2 games against the Eagles alone. He gave up 240 yards in 5 games. Obviously had big-time hamstring issues. That's why he only played 5 games after getting dealt before the deadline. But you traded and gave up what you gave up thinking you were getting a number 1 corner, thinking you are in this sort of spot where you can make a big move, and corner was obviously a massive need for them. He didn't play like it. Dude didn't show it up at all, and was truly a reason why they lost some of those games. So if he turns back into the Marshon Lattimore that was at one point a very dominant number one sort of man coverage corner, Commanders have just as good a shot at winning the NFC as the Eagles, in my opinion. But
that's a big problem for them. They need to fix that.
Obviously a big if, given what we saw last season.
For me, it's going to be Laramie Tunsil. You bring in an elite left tackle, you expect elite left tackle play.
Yeah.
Jaden Daniels didn't have that last year. They did a good job of competing up front with some of these elite groups that we talk about, particularly in the division. But when you've got a left tackle who can be a mute button, Jay Cutler used to talk about Ryan Clady, elite tackle in Denver. And I'm sure some of you guys in the chat, guys and gals, remember Ryan Clady.
Boy State.
Laramie Tunsil is that. Like he's just you don't have to slide to him. You don't have to give him help. He probably looks at his guard and says, just leave me the you-know-what alone. Just stay away from me. Like, if you have that kind of left tackle, it opens up Pandora's box for what you're allowed to do with the right side and with the center and the left guard. And I think that will bode very well for Jaden Daniels and the Commanders.
Yeah, I am interested to see what the offense looks like this year, because as much as we thought, as much as everyone, the offensive line overplayed expectations and were much better, they still were schemed around a lot. Like Cliff Kingsbury knew that it wasn't a strength, knew he had to protect them, knew he had to do things that were basically not putting them on islands in pass pro. Shoot, this year you might be able to. You might be able to just say, we can drop back pass 20 plus times a game and not have to get cute with RPOs and things of that nature to protect our O-line. So I'm interested to see what it looks like, because obviously Cliff really reinvented himself a year ago, and I think cemented himself as one of the best play callers in the NFL with what he did. So
it looked good doing it.
Yeah. Oh well, always.
God, that guy's just. That there's those like sunglasses ads that look timeless. You don't know if the picture was taken in 1964 on a yacht in Rhode Island or if it was recently taken. He's got that look and those glasses, man. He's got the classic football player or football coach look. Every great coach has a look.
Signature. Yeah.
He's got a look.
We should have known. All right, Dallas Cowboys. Who you got as the most important player here?
Jack Sanborn, linebacker. It's going to be an issue for the Cowboys if they don't have young Jack Sanborn of previously the Chicago Bears stepping up for Matt Eberflus's defense previously of the Chicago Bears. And if you remember the Bears, when Roquan Smith left, there was a ton of people that were like, yo, Roquan Smith just left with his suitcase and his Rolls Royce. What's the plan here? Well, young Jack Sanborn, Chicago native, stepped in and was an absolute stalwart for this defense. Matt Eberflus's defense was never a problem until, Hail Marys came around. That's going to be a huge part for this Cowboys defense. Obviously, they added pieces on offense, but with the way that their front is, they re-signed Igizua.
Odigizua.
Thank you. They've got Micah. They've got young rusher on the outside. Is it Ezeraku on the other side?
Yep.
So, that second level of the defense will have opportunities to make big plays. I think Jack Sanborn will be the guy that steps up for him there.
Yeah, their linebacker position, one of, if not maybe the biggest question mark on this roster. Tamargon Overshown, super talented, horrific knee injury at the end of last season. I'm not sure you can rely on him.
He is such a freak and so much fun to watch when he's healthy.
Kenneth Murray, obviously former first-round pick, but there's a reason why multiple teams have just let him walk out the door at this point. Maris Leofau was a third-rounder from Notre Dame a year ago, but I can tell you as someone who watched Maris Leofau for multiple years at Notre Dame that he is not a coverage linebacker, to say the least. So it's kind of going to be an open competition there at the linebacker position. Interested to see how it shakes out. Jack Sanborn, big fan of his. I don't know if I'm calling him the most important player on this roster. George Pickens.
Well, look, obviously George Pickens is going to be huge, and that's why I tip my cap to the Cowboys for taking a shot on a guy in a contract year. But if we're talking about guys who are going to have an opportunity to make a huge impact on the team. It might not be the most important player, but to me, it's one of the most important storylines because you got a new DC, you got a new head coach. Your new DC is a former head coach who, while he wasn't a game breaker coach, he had a really good defense. And I think Sanborn could be a huge part of that.
I think he's primed to start for them, though. Like when you are at the second level of the defense, quote unquote quarterback of the defense, having the knowledge of the scheme the way he does is going to put him to the front of the line. He's going to be there every rep teaching other guys how to play this defense. And I think it's a big reason why they obviously added him this offseason. But George Pickens is just like the range of outcomes. If he wants to play like he's in a contract year and like he wants to get paid next year, you are going to get a guy who's of comparable talent level to your number one receiver right in the ceiling. Like truly that good of a physical talent. But obviously we've seen that with George Pickens' talent is probably secondary on the list of outcomes that impact his down-to-down performance. New York Giants, where some of the biggest offseason turnover in terms of adding to this roster of any team in the NFL, brand new quarterback position, a lot of new faces on defense, but who to you is most important?
Okay, so Andrew Thomas has been a guy that they've had laying in wait for a team to arrive, for an opportunity to arise, and his health has been obviously in question, but he's healthy now, and with the way that they have this group loaded on defense, on their defensive line, obviously you'd like to see that offensive line start to gel and come around. He's going to be a huge part of that for whoever is playing quarterback for the New York Giants. Andrew Thomas.
Yeah, I mean, he is an elite left tackle in the NFL, but obviously of late, just hasn't been stay healthy. And when you have a left tackle who's in the lineup and out of the lineup, well, it's just hard to get continuity. So over the last 2 years, 416 snaps in 2024, 576 snaps in 2023. So hasn't had a full season since 2022, but guy's still young. And when he does play, he's still damn good.
Hey, Trent
I'm right there with
have injury issues.
True. Kind of still does. But like, it's not, I'm not damning him to those, but just guy needs to see the football field. I'm going to Abdul Carter, though. Give me Abdul Carter.
Yep.
Because he hit the ground running the way, say, Will Anderson did, the way Jared Verse did, the way guys of that caliber you hope they do, Micah Parsons. This team they could be a playoff team. They are that good along the defensive line. Their defense should be damn good this year. Truly. I'm not sure. I keep saying it, but I'm not sure people have priced that in correctly, how good this defensive line is. Dexter Lawrence is the best nose tackle in the NFL, bar none. No one comes close to the impact he does rushing the passer around the interior. Brian Burns is obviously an elite speed rusher. You have Kayvon Thibodeau, who took a big leap last year already. And he's just a rotational piece at this point with your addition of Abdul Carter. So you got 3 talented edge rushers, 1 dominant interior guy. That is the makings of something special. But it's obviously going to come with Abdul Carter having to hit the ground running and being healthy after all the injuries he had in the pre-draft process.